What is up, Supreme Team? Back with another video, and Vindictus Defying Fate has just had its pre-alpha that ran for a few days last weekend. If you're not sure what it is an action RPG developed and published by Korean behemoth Nexon, based on the Vindictus MMO back in 2010 that is still active today actually, but instead of going the MMO route, it has now gone action RPG. The pre-alpha playtest was fairly small. It consisted of you picking between two different characters, Fiona, a sword and board class, or a dual-wielding dagger class called Lan. You started off in a bright grassland area with various enemy encampments and ruins scattered throughout the area. You'll also find a lot of bonfire-like checkpoints, what you'd see in a Souls-like, that would heal you, and also enemies would respawn around the area. And just when you were traveling around the area, you'd be running into a lot of beastmen type enemies. There was 4 bosses throughout the grasslands area, and if you do happen to beat the bosses in that area, you could then go to a snow cave area that had 2 more additional bosses. The playtest was definitely focused at showing combat, with abilities already being available to you, no options to swap out equipment. There were some chests there, but they were marked with coming soon, which I thought was pretty cool. But yeah, combat was the main activity focus of the playtest. It was fairly small. You could get through the playtest in maybe a few hours depending on your skill level with the boss fights, because some of them were quite difficult. There was a bit of a difficulty spike, but there was a surprising amount of bosses in their playtest, which is pretty cool. Not just 1 or 2, there was about 6 in total, which was pretty good. Now that's what the playtest consisted of, so this is my impressions of it. The first thing I noticed is the game looks stunning. The walking around these areas looked fantastic, the environment looked great. Yeah, they're definitely going out with some of the character models, as you'll see in a wee bit. The game is being made in Unreal Engine 5, so that's why it looks as good as it does. They're definitely taking advantage of their engine. Some environments did look fairly standard in what you would see in other action RPGs such as this, but this is an early playtest, so of course they can iterate on the environment and make it more of their own. But it still looked great anyway. In terms of moving around the world and combat, it all felt very smooth. So I barely noticed any frame dips throughout my time playing with the playtest. Going around the world, during combat, during boss fights, it all felt very fluid. Moving around just felt great to control the characters. So next, the big focus of the playtest is the combat, so let's get into it. Each character had a light attack, a strong attack, and various abilities that are unique to each character. You have your dodge that has the iframes, but you also have combos in combat that when stringed together do more damage or provide more stun to opponents. Like for example, you could do light attack, and strong attack, which would do more damage and more stun to your opponents. Another thing I did notice is there's no stamina system at all, so it allows you to string combos together quickly, almost spam-like, and you can also throw in your abilities as well, and so pretty much just do a non-stop onslaught of attacks. Your 4 abilities on the left do have a cooldown, so you can't constantly spam those, but you can with the combos. So that's one thing I did notice, that there's no stamina system, and you could go quite quick in terms of your offensive with your abilities and the combo moves. Along with this, you also have your potions to heal you that refill when resting at campfires. So the gameplay and structure immediately feel very familiar to that of a Souls-like that people are used to, but also on the verge of Souls-like combat is mixed with a slightly more arcade feel, with its quicker, almost spam-like combos when chained together. So it is a interesting mix, but is a mix that worked pretty good. So I played with both characters, but it did feel like Fiona's moveset was more complete. A lot of Lan's moves did feel good and flashy and quite quick, but Fiona's moves just felt more versatile. She had a shield bash that I felt was quite good at stunning, whereas Lan's just felt like they were all doing the same kind of thing. I didn't feel as impactful using Lan compared to Fiona. Fiona did have a dedicated block button because she has a shield, which I could use at any point, but the block would reduce in effectiveness the longer I blocked. There was also a parry where you could time that to take advantage of enemies and do more damage. Lan didn't have a block button due to him having no shield of course, but instead he did feel a bit quicker in his moves, and he had the ability to do a double dodge, which is helpful in getting out of harm's way faster. So it's good to see the uniqueness between the two different classes, different characters showing the differences and the equipment and just the abilities that they have available to them. So it's good that it's not going to be all characters feeling the same, which was definitely not the case in this playtest. So combat in this playtest, it just felt good. It feels like it's mostly there. I'd say probably about 3/4 of the way there, which is very good for a pre-alpha playtest. It felt good moving around in combat. Combat mostly felt responsive. Some moves did feel like they packed a bit more of a punch compared to other moves. The different character abilities felt good and meaningful, and utilizing them effectively helped stun and take down enemies quicker. Probably my only issue with the combat system that was a big deal was the AI tracking did feel a bit bullshit. The arrows from certain enemies, so I'd be fighting some enemies and they'd be facing a certain direction and I'd be over there, and then the arrow would fly out at a very odd angle that you wouldn't expect a arrow to fly out, and then it would somehow hit me anyway. which I thought was complete bullshit. But generally, apart from the odd tracking at times, combat felt pretty good. The bosses were definitely a highlight. Apart from this arrow shooting son of a bitch, bosses felt fair, and usually when I did die, it was because I was getting too greedy, or if I was trying to get too many hits in before they would come flying back at me. Sound design throughout the game felt fine. Background music seemed to be only present during boss fights. Some hits during combat had more of a lighter tone to them, but based off the combat having a slightly arcade feel to it, that may be the sounds they're going for. I just reckon they could have some more variety in their sound design feedback, but of course this is a pre-alpha playtest, so they're already doing quite well in their sound design. Outside of combat, there was the odd cutscene between boss fights, which also looked good, such as one of human soldiers being ambushed by the beastmen. Although there wasn't too much other cutscenes, it's too early to tell what they're going to be doing with that, but from what I saw, it was good. There was also the option to swap out costumes for your player, which I assume is just available in the playtest just to show the different variety of costumes you can wear. Obviously, you'd be able to pick up items in chests and buy the equipment in the full game. So some costumes were more revealing than others, as you would have seen in this video so far. I also probably need to mention the jiggle physics, as you probably would have seen throughout the video. Two big reasons right there. That's probably what's going to pull a lot of people into this game. I guess a highlight is I haven't seen physics so focused on that compared to other games that we've been playing. But there you go, for people out there. Anyway, moving on. The UI and the menu looked fine. Just looked standard for now. Some parts did feel a bit unresponsive, especially when going to settings and the map involving me to hit certain buttons twice, but not a big deal. Just general things that would definitely be tightened up closer to the release. Not much to say outside of the combat, because that was generally the focus of this playtest. That and for players to get a general look and feel of how the game is going to look. So overall, a good playtest. I enjoyed my time with it. I was more surprised than anything at how well the game looks, how it feels. It felt good running around, it felt good being in combat, and I was also surprised at just how good the combat was, considering it is a early access playtest. Could do with some work, as I said before, just in regards to the AI tracking differently, and maybe more of a hit feedback, but I think they're still trying to figure out the system that if it's going to be halfway between fully realistic kind of Souls-like combat, or more going for an arcade feel. I guess they're still going to work out that, but it was still a very good playtest in terms of the combat. I'm definitely putting this game on my radar to see how they progress with it. I'm definitely happy with what I saw so far. It'll be good to see what they can do to set themselves apart in terms of the combat, because Souls-like combat and just this action RPG type of game is definitely getting a bit overcrowded at the moment, but I think with its looks, the jiggle physics and costumes, and just the approach to certain design aspects, they're going to definitely pull in some players. So I think they're going to find an audience. I don't think they're going to have a problem with that. In terms of the game, they definitely have something solid to build on, which is good. But of course, this was a pre-alpha playtest, so a lot more development to come. Did you check out the playtest? Let me know what you think down below, and be sure to hit this like button if you enjoyed, and subscribe for more videos like this. I'll definitely keep tabs on this game in the future. That's all from me. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.